You didn't tell that to Investigator Dallin, did you, during that interview? That statement's not there.
I don't remember.
And yet, the first words out of your mouth when somebody asks you, is he breathing, are, quote, I don't know, period, end quote, correct?
I said, I don't know, handcuff this guy.
The first words were reference to, is he breathing, I don't know, correct?
Correct.
And then there's if we were to graph the sentence out, there's a second sentence, handcuff this guy, which is not responsive to his question, is he breathing, correct?
That's correct.
At that moment, you had no idea if he was breathing, did you?
I thought that he was. I thought that he was okay.
You didn't say that to the officer, did you?
No.
You said, I don't know, correct?
I said, I don't know, handcuff him.
You were trying, what were you trying to do? Were you trying to arrest him?
In a way, yes, I was trying to arrest him.
When you as a law enforcement officer arrest somebody, you're taking away their freedom of movement, correct?
Correct.
You, in a sense, have a responsibility to their safety, correct?
In a sense, yes.
In this situation, you're an intoxicated man who's angry, who's lying on top of a man. And you couldn't give an answer, yes or no, whether or not he was breathing. You simply didn't know, did you? That is what you said at that moment, correct?
Well, let me just object. There are two different questions, whether that's what he said or that's what he knew.
Question is, that's what you said, correct? I don't know.
I said, I don't know, handcuff him.
I know you want to add that second sentence, but to the question, is he breathing? Your statement was, I don't know.
Objection asked and answered.
At this point, asked and answered. Let's move on, Mr. Tucker.
How long did you hold him on the ground, he being Mr. Acevedo, before the police arrived?
I don't know exactly. I don't know. It didn't seem like very long, but I don't know.
Do you remember saying to Officer Buzak, you held him on the ground for quite a while before the police arrived?
I believe I heard that in a body camera.
You've also testified here today that Mr. Acevedo was refusing to leave, correct?
He was.
When you have the 911 call, though, the first words out of his mouth are, let me go, my score is not woke, I'm going home, correct?
I heard that at the 911 call, but I don't specifically remember that in the moment. He was yelling things, but I don't know what he was saying.
In the 911 call, he also states, quote, I swear I'll go home, I swear fucking. That is early on. What do you remember about that?
I don't remember him saying that in the moment. I heard it on the 911 tape.
What would have been preventing him from going home if he's saying, I'll go home?
I was holding him down until the police could arrive.
When you were working as a police officer, people are often put down on the ground, chest on the ground, because it's easier to get their arms behind their back so you can arrest them, correct?
Sometimes, yes.
You're trained, though, then to turn them over on their side to prevent something from happening, correct?
When they're handcuffed, is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
Honestly, I don't remember training like that way or doing it that way. I know when I've handcuffed people on the ground in the prone position, I've turned them on the side to help them stand up.
Judge, I have no further questions of Mr. Mattioli.
Thank you. Mr. Hart?
Yeah, just briefly. You were asked moments ago, Mr. Mattioli, about preparing for your testimony with me. The fact that you have prepared with your lawyers, the fact that in a case charging you with reckless homicide, you've actually reviewed the discovery. Did you have the benefit of any of that when you talked to Investigator Dallin on April 19th, 2020?
No, that was the day of, so I didn't have any of that information.
Had you spoken to Mr. Peters to that point?
No, after that day, I haven't had a chance to speak with Peters or Janowski ever since that first day.
So you're saying that the three of you haven't gotten your stories together straight?
No, I haven't seen them or spoken to them. In the courtroom is the first time I've seen them since this day.
So if there are similarities between what you testified to under oath, Mr. Janowski testified to under oath, and Mr. Peters testified to under oath, probably not a coincidence. Would you agree with that?
Objection leading.
That's all.
Sorry, Mr. Hart, did you withdraw that?
Oh, sure. I'll withdraw the question. I have one last question of Officer Mattioli. At 15:23 and 25 seconds of your interview with Investigator Dallin, well, let me back up a minute. You were asked by Mr. Tiffin if you told Investigator Dallin that you checked on Mr. Acevedo at any point to make sure that he was breathing. Do you recall that question?
I remember the question.
Yeah, and did Investigator Dallin ask you that while he was interviewing you?
I don't remember.
Well, let me tell you that at 15:23:25, the transcript reads, like I said, I didn't choke this guy. I didn't mean to choke this guy. He was breathing. I know he was breathing that whole time. I listened to his breathing. I could feel his breathing. Do you remember telling Investigator Dallin that when he interviewed you right next door on the 19th of April 2020?
Now that you bring that up, I do remember that.
And had you and I spoken to that point?
No,
Did we know each other at that point?
no, I hadn't met you yet.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tiffin?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mattioli. You can step down. Back to Mr. Hart and Mr. Powell.
I think it might be appropriate to take a break at this point if the court's okay with that.
We have been on the record for about an hour and 45 minutes, so this does a good long afternoon. We're going to take a break for about 15 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please leave your notebooks on your chairs. Again, please don't talk about the case until you get to deliberations. All rise, please. Please take your seats. Attorneys, anything else before we break? Mr. Tiffin?
No.
Mr. Hart and Mr. Powell, anything? Anything for the record before we break?
Oh, no, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're in recess for about 15 minutes, everyone. Danielle, you ready? Okay. All right, we're back on the record after our break, and we'll start again with the defense. Mr. Hart, Mr. Powell. Oh, are there any issues before we bring the jury in? I should clarify. Okay. Mr. Tiffin?
What was the question?
Oh, anything before we bring the jury back?
No.
Okay. Deputies, can we bring the jury back, please? Thanks, everyone. Please take your seats. We're continuing with the defense. Mr. Hart?
Your Honor, the defense rests.
Okay. All right. Well, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little after 3:30, and I discussed with the attorneys.
Judge, one just thing for the record,
Mr.
for the
Tiffin.
record, the state's not calling any rebuttal witnesses.
Thank you, Mr. Tiffin.
You're welcome.
And I discussed with the attorneys kind of where we are on the schedule. Because of the lateness of the hour, we don't have enough time this afternoon to do jury instructions and closing arguments. That'll be the last stage of the trial. And you'll be retiring for deliberations as soon as those two items are completed. So what the court is planning is to do all of that in the morning. And so what the schedule will be is I'd like to start again at 9 a.m. and I'll begin with jury instructions. Then the parties will present their closing arguments, and then the jury will be retiring for deliberations. A couple of planning items for all of you to think about. First, when you're in deliberations, we do collect your cell phones, so you won't have your cell phones during deliberations. I just want to warn everyone that's a standard procedure. Also, we will provide lunch for you, but our lunch is kind of standard courthouse sandwiches. So if you are good with sandwich, chips, and a soft drink, you're covered. If you have any special dietary needs or you need something else, please bring that with you tomorrow, because once you're in deliberations, you'll be in deliberations until we hear back from you. So with that said, folks, members of the jury, are there any questions? Yes, and your juror number, do you remember your original? 17, yeah. We will close at 5, yes. No, you will not go past 5 tomorrow, I can promise you that. If you have not reached a verdict, we'll talk about that at that time. No, we do expect you to be retiring for deliberations late tomorrow morning, so you will have the rest of the day to deliberate. And right, any other questions? All right, thanks. Oh, yes, sir. Your juror number? Sorry, your juror number? Okay, yes, sir. It will not be Saturday, but we won't talk about that now. We'll cross that bridge if we come to it. but we'll talk tomorrow about retiring and, correct. All right, any other questions? Okay, all rise for the jury, please.